Good day, ma'am, and dear classmates. So, as you can see in the first page of our presentation, our group, we are going to report about the Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board, or the LTFRB. So, with this, the content of our presentation, we have here the introduction, vision and mission, history and mandate, roles or powers and functions, or duties and responsibilities, organization, and so on. Okay, so let me discuss to you the short history of LTFRB, or kung paano nga ba nabuo ang LTFRB. So, the Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board is an agency of the Republic of the Philippines under the Department of Transportation, or DOTR. So, when we say agency or ahensya, ito ay isang samahan na naglalayong mapabuti ang isang bagay sa pamamagitan ng pagkakaisa at paniniwala sa bawat isa na kasapi nito. So, ang LTFRB ay isang ahensya ng Republic of the Philippines under ng DOTR na may layuning makiisa sa iba't ibang ahensya upang mapabuti ang land transportasyon ng Pilipinas. So, also, LTFRB was established on June 19, 1987 during the former President Corazon Aquino's administration. So, naitatag ang LTFRB noong administrasyon ni Corazon Aquino na namuno bilang presidente sa taong 1986 hanggang 1992. Okay, so we have here the evolutionary progression of LTFRB. So, nagsimula ang regulasyong pang-transportasyon noong pang 1900. So, ngayon i-discuss ko kung paano nabuo ang LTFRB, kung ano yung mga nauna na nabuo bago naging LTFRB. So, una, ang Coastwise Rate Commission. So, it is the first iteration of the LTFRB was established on November 17, 1902 through the passing of Act number 520. So, this regulation of public services was started way back in 1902 with the enactment of Act number 520 na naging dahilan upang mabuo ang coastwise rate. So, the Commission is in charge of classifying vessels, merchandise, and passengers in which reference to transportation under the coastwise trade, and fixing the maximum rates to be imposed on the vessels and merchandise of different classes and people that are being moved from one point to another across the country. So, ang komisyon na ito, sila yung namamahala sa pag-uuri ng mga sasakyang pandagat. Halimbawa, yung mga ginagamit upang makipagkalakalan. At yung mga, sila din yung mga namamahala sa mga pasahero na may kaugnayan sa transportasyon sa ilalim ng baybayin ng kalakalan. At ang komisyon din na ito, sila yung mga nag-aayos or sila yung nagpapataw ng kumbaga parang tax sa mga sasakyang pandagat, pati na din yung mga nagtitinda sa nagtitinda ng iba't ibang klase. And nagpapataw din sila ng mga halaga sa mga tao na pupunta sa ibang bansa. Halimbawa, dito sa Pilipinas, kapag pumunta ka sa ibang bansa, may karampatang halaga na ipapataw din sa kanya. So, ito yung Coastwise Rate Commission na nabuo noong November 17, 1902. So, after the Coastwise Rate Commission, sumunod na nabuo ang Supervising Railway Expert. So, in 1906, Act number 1507 was passed creating the Supervising Railway Expert. So, nabuo ang Supervising Railway Expert sa pagpasa ng Act number 1507. And also, the Supervising Railway Expert was appointed by the Governor General with the advice and consent of the Philippine Commission. Next, we have here the duties of Supervising Railway Expert. First is to advise the Secretary of Commerce and Police in regard to any concession if they be asked for by companies or individuals proposing to construct railroads in the Philippine Islands, whether the traction is by steam, electricity, or other motive power. So, they are the one to advise the Secretary of Commerce and the police with a view that to seeing that the individual who proposed to construct railroads shall comply with the terms of the concession from which they receive their privileges and with the laws of Congress and of the Philippine Island governing such enterprise. Next is to supervise the construction and operation of all railroads being constructed or operated in the Philippine history. So, they are the one to check the construction, or it shall be its duty to determine the nature and quality of all expenditures and to see that they comply with the terms of other respective concession in all land. So next is to supervise in particular the construction of railroads upon which interest of bonds is guaranteed under authority granted by the terms of the Act of Congress approved February 6, 1905. After the Supervising Railway Expert, sumunod na nabuo ang Board of Public Utility Commissioners. So, it says here, then Act number 2307, which was patterned after the Public Service Law of the State of New Jersey, was approved by the Philippine Commission in 1914, creating the Board of Public Utility Commissioners. So, this was passed through the Act of, or this was created through the Act of number 2307 and was approved by the Philippine Commission. And furthermore, it is composed of 3 members which absorbed all the functions of the Coastwise Rate Commission, the Supervising Railway Expert, and the Board of Rate Regulation. So, I already discussed about the Coastwise Rate Commission and the Supervising Railway Expert. So, one of the function of these commissioners is to regulate utilities such as electricity and water, in addition to land and coastal transportation. Another is the Public Service Law. So, on November 7, 1936, Commonwealth Act No. 146, otherwise known as the Public Service Law, was enacted by the National Assembly. So, again, this Public Service Law was created through the passing of Commonwealth Act No. 147. And furthermore, it is composed of one Public Service Commissioner and 5 associate commissioners, and which shall be vested with the powers and duties hereafter specified. So, it says here in the Act that whenever the word commission is used in this Act, it shall be held to mean the Public Service Commission, and whenever the word commissioner is used in this Act, it shall be held to mean the Public Service Commissioner or any one of the associate commissioners. So, this Public Service Commissioner and the associate Public Service commissioners shall be natural-born citizens and residents of the Philippines and not under 30 years of age. And they should be a member of the Bar of the Philippines with at least 5 years of law practice or 5 years of employment in the government service, requiring a lawyer's diploma. Furthermore, they shall be appointed by the President of the Philippines with the consent of the Commission on Appointments of the Congress of the Philippines. So next is the Specialized Regulatory Board. So, in September 21, 1972, then President Marcos implemented the Integrated Reorganization Plan through Presidential Decree No. 1. So, the Professional Regulation Commission, or the Specialized Regulatory Board, was first created as a national government agency by Presidential Decree No. 223, signed by President Ferdinand E. Marcos, and mandated to enforce the laws regulating the various professions. And in the implementation of this plan, the Public Service Commission was abolished and its responsibilities distributed among multiple regulatory boards that each focused on a part of the Public Service Commission's regulatory function. So, the function of this Specialized Regulatory Board is to administer, implement, and enforces the regulatory laws and policies of the country with respect to the regulation and licensing of the various professions under its jurisdiction. Okay. Furthermore, under the Commission are the 45 Professional Regulatory Board, which exercise administrative, quasi-legislative, and quasi-judicial powers over their respective professions. So, this commission, they are the one to exercise administrative power. So, this administrative power, it is the power to administer or enforce a law. It can be executive, legislative, or judicial in nature. So, also they intend to carry the laws into effect, practical application of laws, and execution of the principles prescribed by the lawmaker. Also, they are the one who exercise quasi-legislative power. When we say quasi-legislative, it is the capacity in which a public administrative agency or body acts when it makes rules and regulations. For example, rulemaking undertaken by an administrative agency is a quasi-legislative act. And lastly, they exercise quasi-judicial power. It is the also, if we say, kapag sinabi natin quasi-judicial power, it is a proceeding conducted by an administrative or executive official that is similar to a court proceeding. Example is the hearing. So, that is all about the Specialized Regulatory Board. Pagkatapos ng Specialized Regulatory Board, sumunod na nabuo ang Land Transportation Commission. So, the Land Transportation Commission was formed in 1964, but it was renamed in 1979 by former President Ferdinand Marcos to the Bureau of Land Transportation. So, it was established in 1964, but it became the Bureau of Land Transportation. In 1985, the Bureau was combined with the Board of Transportation. It was combined because it was determined that a number of their functions were similar to others, and furthermore, it was formed as a part of the integrated reorganization plan of former President Ferdinand Marcos. And the Bureau Marcos and the Land Transportation Commission also has been in charge of categorizing, registering, and regulating all types of land-based vehicles since its foundation, and also it issued licenses and enforced traffic regulations. Finally, the Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board, or the LTFRB. In 1987, then President Corazon Aquino abolished the LTC and created two offices to replace it. So, under the administration of Corazon Aquino, she abolished the Land Transportation Commission that was established and renamed by former President Ferdinand Marcos. And she created two offices to replace it. So these are the two offices: the Land Transportation Office and the LTO, and the Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board. So the LTO took on the functions of the Bureau of Land Transportation, wherein it is responsible for the inspection and registration of motor vehicles, issuance of licenses and permits, enforcement of land transportation, rules and regulations, and adjudication of traffic cases, while the Board of Transportation is responsible for the maintenance and expansion of viable, efficient, and dependable transportation systems. So, to sum up the evolution of LTFRB, the regulation of public services started way back in 1902 with the enactment of Act No. 520, which created the Coastwise Rate Commission. In 1906, Act No. 1507 was passed, creating the Supervising Railway Expert. In the following year, Act No. 1779 was enacted, creating the Board of Rate Regulation. Then Act No. 2307, which was patterned after the Public Service of the State of New Jersey, was approved by the Philippine Commission, creating the Board of Public Commissioner. Thereafter, several laws were enacted on public utility regulation. On November 7, 1936, Commonwealth Act No. 146, otherwise known as the Public Service Law, and in September 21, 1972, specialized regulatory was established, and then the following years, LTO and LTFRB was also established by the two former president. So I think this is a brief background or information about the evolution of LTFRB.
So, LTFRB is a sectoral agency of the Department of Transportation which is mandated under the law responsible for promulgation, administering, enforcing, and monitoring compliance of policies, laws, and regulations of public land transportation services. Okay, so based sa definition, ang LTFRB ay isa daw na sectoral agencies ng Department of Transportation which is mandated or required by the law, responsible for promulgation, administering or pag-supervise, pag-enforce or pagpatupad, and mag-monitor ng mga policies, laws, and regulations of public lands transportation services. This agency is in charge of granting franchises or accreditation and regulating public vehicles such as utility buses, minibuses, public utility jeepneys, and etc. So, ang agency daw na ito is in charge din sa pag-grant ng mga franchise or accreditation and pag-regulate din ng mga public vehicles such as mga utility buses, minibuses, public utility jeepneys, and etc. So it also have the power to prescribe and regulate routes of services. They are also the one who can issue, amend, revise, suspend, or cancel certificate of public convenience or permit. So ang LTFRB daw ay may kapangyarihan na mag-prescribe and mag-regulate ng mga routes or daanan ng mga sasakyan. So ito daw ay may kapangyarihan din na mag-issue, mag-amend, mag-revise, mag-suspend or mag-cancel ng mga certificate of public convenience or permits. So yun, this is the end of my presentation and thank you.
Okay, next is pag-uusapan po natin or tatalakayin po natin kung ano ang mission and vision of Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board or ang LTFRB. The mission of LTFRB is to ensure that the communicating public has adequate, safe, convenient, environment-friendly, and dependable land transportation services at reasonable rates through the implementation of land-based transportation policies, programs, and projects responsive to an investment-led and demand-driven industry. Okay? Ang mission po ng LTFRB ay siguraduhin na ang mga pampublikong transportasyon o ang mga taong nagko-commute sa araw-araw ay may nararapat, ligtas, sapat at maayos na kapaligiran. Ang mission ding ito ay sinasagawa upang may masiguro na ligtas at maasahan ang mga pampublikong serbisyo at transportasyon tulad ng mga jeep, taxi o habal-habal sa pamamagitan ng pagtupad ng mga patakaran, batas, proyekto at programa na siyang tumutugon sa pamumuhunan at pangangailangan ng industriya. Ito ay nakapokus sa mga panglupang sasakyan na kung saan ang mga serbisyong pinamumuhunan at ginagamit o sinasakyan ng mga tao ay ligtas, maayos at kung ang bawat serbisyong na ibibigay ay naayon sa patakaran na naipapatupad. Okay? Dumako naman po tayo sa vision of LTFRB. The The vision of LTFRB is world-class land transportation services contributing to the overall development of the country, improvement of socio-economic status of its stakeholders, and promotion of the welfare of the general public. Okay? Ang vision po ng LTFRB ay magkaroon at makapagbigay ng mga serbisyo at transportasyon na magara at pangmalakasan na siyang nag-aambag sa pangkalahatang pag-unlad ng ating bansa. Hangad din nitong mapabuti ang katayuang sosyo-ekonomiko ng mga stakeholder at pagtataguyod ng kapakanan ng pangkalatang publiko. Ito ay nakapokus sa pagkaroon ng mga world-class na pampublikong sasakyan na makapagbibigay ng serbisyo para sa pangmaramihan, na siyang isa sa mga industriya na nakapagpapaunlad ng ating bansa.
Hello ma'am, hello classmates, pleasant day to each and everyone. My part is all about LTFRB organizational structures. And here I prepared an organizational chart starting with the office of the chairman board members to regional franchising and regulatory office. And we have here the first one, the office of the chairman and board members. The office of the chairman and its board members has the capability to perform the powers and functions as mandated in Executive Order 202 and Public Service Act. So, ang chairman o the chairman board of board members, ito yung may kakayahan na gampanan ang mga kapangyarihan at tungkulin as mandated in Executive Order 202 and Public Service Act. And we have here the board following powers. The first one is to prescribe and regulate routes of service. Ito yung upang ma-regulate nila yung routes of service. When you say routes, ito yung ruta nila na mga kapasidad na mabubuhay sa ekonomiya at mga zona o mga lugar na pagpapatakbo ng serbisyo ng pampublikong transportasyon sa lupa na ibinibigay ng sasakyang pang demotor. The second one, to issue, amend, revise, suspend, or cancel certificates of public convenience or permit. So, sabi dito is upang baguhin and suspindihin o kanselahin ang mga sertipiko o mga permit na nagpapahintulot sa at nagpapatakbo ng mga serbisyo ng pampublikong transportasyon. And the third one, to determine, prescribe, and approve, and periodically review and adjust reasonable fares. So, when you say, ang sabi dito, upang matukoy and upang ma-aproba at pag na-aproba panapanahong suriin at ayusin. So, when you say reasonable fares, ito yung makatwirang pamasahe na mga rate at iba pang kaugnayan na mga singil. The fourth one, to issue preliminary or permanent injunction, whether prohibitory or mandatory. So, sabi dito, upang maglabas ng paunang o permanenteng utos na kahit ipinagbabawal man o ipinag-uutos. Whether prohibitory or mandatory. Office of the Executive Director. The Office of the Executive Director assists the chairman or the board members in the execution and implementation of all laws and policies pertaining to the regulations of land transportation public utilities. So, sabi dito, ang Office of the Executive Director ay ito ay tumutulong sa chairman or the board members na chairman or the board members in the execution na nagpapatupad ng lahat ng mga batas at patakaran na nauukol sa mga relasyon ng mga pampublikong kagamitan sa transaksyon sa lupa. The fourth one, to issue preliminary or permanent injunction, whether prohibitory or mandatory. Sabi dito upang maglabas ng paunang permanenteng utos, whether prohibitory or mandatory, whether ipinagbabawal man o ipinag-uutos. The last one is to punish for attempt of the board and indirect in accordance with the pertinent provisions of the penalties prescribed by the rules of court. So upang parusahan ang mga pagsuway sa mga lupon, parehong direkta at hindi direkta, parehong direkta at hindi direkta na alinsunod sa mga nauugnay na for all the provision at mga parusang itinakda parusang itinakda ng parusang itinakda by the rules of court. Okay, next, the administrative division. Personnel management and development, general services and other auxiliary services, equipment and supplies management, administrative records management, receipt, custody, collection and disburse of funds, automotive and mechanical services. So, ang lahat ng to is ito yung mga konektado sa administrative division. Ito yung personal na pamamahala at pagpapaunlad mga pangkalahatang serbisyo at iba pang pantulong na serbisyo, yung mga pamamahala ng kagamitan at mga supply, yung mga pamamahala ng mga talaang pang-administratibo at mga kolekta ng custody collection and disburse of funds, yung pag-disburse ng mga pondo and mga serbisyo sa sasakyan at mechanical services. Okay, so next, the financial and management division. Budget and financial management, accounting services and audit services. Ito is connected naman din sa Financial and Management Division. Ito yung nagagawa nila. Nagbabudget at pamamahala sa pananalapi, mga serbisyo at accounting services at ang panghuli, ito yung audit services, yung mga serbisyo na pag-audit. Technical Division. Development of financial and economic standards for franchise application, assessment of fees, services, and charges, issuance of special permit, receipt, evaluation, and processing of all franchise applications petitions. So, ito is pagbuo ng mga pamantayan sa pananalapi at pang-ekonomiya para sa application ng mga franchise. And ito is pagsusuri rin ng mga bayarin at service and charges, yung mga serbisyo at singil, and ang pagbibigay ng special na permit, yung issuance of special permit, and to receive the evaluation and processing of all franchise application permits, yung pagsusuri at pagproproseso ng lahat ng mga applications and petitions. So next, the Franchise Planning and Monitoring Division. Conduct transport development research, studies development standard, and review the interpretation of results output. So, ito yung magsagawa ng pagsasaliksik sa pagpapaunlad ng transportasyon, yung development of transport, and yung pamantayang pag-unlad ng mga studies development standard, yung pamantayang pag-unlad ng mga pag-aral and review and interpretation of result output, yung repasuhin at interpretation ng mga result ng output na yun. And next, the Information Systems Management Divisions includes records management, computer services, confirmation services, planning, development, and data gathering and reporting services. And last, the Regional Franchising and Regulatory Division implement approved policies, plans, and programs, rules, and regulations of the board at the regional level. So, ito yung ipatupad ang mga inaprobahang patakaran. It implement approved policies, sabi niya dun. Ito ipatupad ang mga inaprobahang patakaran, plans and programs, yung mga plano at programs and rules and regulation, yung mga tuntunin at regulasyon ng mga of the board and the regional level. And here the decide uncontested applications, petitions for routes within their respective region. Ito yung pakinggan, hear and decide, pakinggan at pagpapasyahan ang mga hindi tatalo ng application and petitions for routes. When say routes, yung ruta, and sa loob ng within their perspective region, sa loob ng kanilang region. And the last is to coordinate and cooperates with the government agencies and entities concerned with any aspects involving land transportation within the region. So, ito yung makipag-ugnay, makipag-ugnayan, coordinate, at makipagtulungan sa mga ahensya ng gobyerno with the government agencies and entities, yung mga entidad na may kinalaman, yung may kinalaman sa anumang aspeto na involving land transportation with the region, kinakasangkutan ng transportasyon sa loob ng rehiyon.
And these are the leaders and officials of the LTFRB. The LTFRB chairman was Attorney Martin B. Delgara III. Board member, retired Police Colonel Joel C. Pernito. Board member, Engineer Sherwin Melil S. Bigyan. The Executive Director, Maria Cristina Icasyon. And the division heads, the Information System Management, Nida P. Cubic. OIC Finance, John Mark L. Orense. The Administrative, Rowena B. Derain. Technical, Joel de Jesus Bolano, and Office in Charge Illegal, Attorney Zona Raset M. Tamayo,
And the last one, the OIC Finance Planning and Monitoring, Diosdado B. Santiago Jr.
Hello, this is me. I'm Dave Carpio. I will be the one to report the rules, power, and function of LTFRB. The rules po ng LTFRB ay to prescribe, regulate the road services, economically viable capacities, and zones or areas of operation of public land transportation. Sila po yung nagre-regulate ng mga road services na nakasalalay po sa economically viable capacities sa mga zones, areas, operation ng public land transportation na naayon po sa plano at programa ng LTFRB na inaprubahan po ng Department of Transportation. Next po is they will be the one to issue, amend, revise, suspend. Sila po yung mag-issue, amend means mag-improve po ng mga mag-improve o mag-revise, mag-suspend o mag-cancela ng mga certificates of convenience, or be the one to issue permits authorizing the operation of public land transportation service provided by motorized vehicle and to prescribe appropriate terms and conditions thereof. Next is they will be done to determine, prescribe, and approve and periodically review and adjust reasonable fares, rates, and other related charges relative to the operation of public land transportation service by motorized vehicles. Others, they will be the one to issue preliminary or permanent injunction. Ito po ay whether ito po ay prohibitory or mandatory na sa lahat po ng cases na nararapat po. At ito pong kaso ay na-apply po sa Next po is they will be the one to punish for contempt of the board, both direct and indirect, in accordance with the pertinent provision of, and they will be the one to give penalties prescribed by the naibibigay po ng rule of the court. Next po is to be the one to issue subpoena and subpoena duces tecum and summon witness to appear in any administrating oaths and affirmation. Subpoena means po, it is a formal written order that requires a person to appear before a court or other legal proceeding and testifying or produce documentation. Parang ito po isang summon po na kapag nakatanggap kayo po ng subpoena, you are invited or naimbita po kayo sa korte. Next po is to conduct investigation. Magkakandak po sila ng investigations, hearings na sa mga complaints po, lalo sa violations, sa mga public service laws, sa mga land transportation, and of course rules. Sa mga rules, magbigay po ng rules and regulations orders, magdedesisyon, rulings, and impose fines and penalties for such violations. Pagka meron pong nag-complain, then sila po yung gagawa or magde-decision, then magpapata po ng kung nararapat sa violations nila. To review motu proprio the decisions, actions of the Regional Franchising and Regulatory Office herein created. To fix, mag-ayos po, mag-impose and collect, magko-collect po ng mga review and adjust reasonable fees and other related charges of service rendered. The next is to promulgate, administer. Formulate po, be the one to formulate and implement. Of course, will be the one to enforce rules and regulations sa land transportation, public utilities, standard of measurements sa mga designs, rules and regulations. Require operators of any public land transportation service to equip, and there will be also the one to install and provide the utilities and their stations at service, equipment, facilities, and operating procedures and techniques as may promote safety, protection, comfort, and convenience to the persons and property within their areas of operations. Of course, ito po, coordinate po sila, then nakakooperate po sa ibang mga agencies, mga entities concerns with any aspects sa iba't ibang issue na ka-involve pa ng public land transportation service with in view of affecting continuing improvements of such a service. Others will be the one to perform functions and duties as may be provided by the law. Will be the one to perform the functions, duties that it is that is provided by the law of the LTFRB, or as may be necessary or proper incidental to purpose and objective of this executive order. Okay, next is duties and responsibility of LTFRB. Ang duties and responsibility po ng LTFRB, they will be the one, they are responsible for promulgating, administering, enforcing, enforce po ng mga laws, mga policies, monitor sa mga laws and regulations of public land transportation. And ito pong agency ay nagbibigay po ng franchise or accreditations and regulating public vehicles such as public utility buses or PUBS sa lahat po ng mga sasaktan like minibuses, sa mga public utility vehicles or UV, sa express service, field cup service, school service, taxis, transportational network vehicle service or TNVS, and tourist transport service. Yun lang po, and thank you.
LTFRB. LTFRB is an agency of the DOTR or Department of Transportation that mandate rules and regulation in the public transportation. Colorum is an illegal public utility vehicle. When we say colorum vehicle is walang authority galing sa LTFRB or sila yung walang CPC or Certificate of Public Convenience from the LTFRB, so that they can panatilihin ang mga guidelines na ayon sa mga tao. The LTFRB given an executive order to the law enforcement to enforce and violate drivers or operator with has illegal public utility vehicle The LTFRB also give a route or ruta to the drivers such as jeep, van, bus, and also the tricycle drivers for them to perform the different businesses. One of the transportation that LTFRB operates is the Association of the Tricycle Driver. One of these are the TODA. We have also that Association of Tricycle Drivers here in Ifugao, which, as for example, are the Lahitoda and Lafetoda. The Lahitoda is for Hingyon route or ruta sa papuntang Hingyon to Lagaw only. Then the Lafetoda is for ruta para sa mga taga-Lagawi lang. For example, if the Hingyon is, kung ang Hingyon ay nagpapasada dun sa Lagawi, doon siya nagpapasada, pwedeng huliin ito ng mga law enforcement natin kasi kasali ito sa illegal public utility vehicles na as for colorum, dahil hindi ito yung nakalagay sa kanyang papel na destiny niya or ruta niya. Another operation that LTFRB do is if the police has a bypass operation, when the LTFRB do so, because while I'm searching, I found the LTFRB has do drug test to the conductors and bus operators, which is, as you can see to my screen, is the LTFRB 13th order drug test on bus firms, drivers, and Amit Shaburabs, which is in Butuan City. They mandate, the LTFRB mandated that the bus drivers and conductors must be go with the drug test. And also LTFRB has a programs which is the modernization of jeepney and Pantawid Pasada jeepneys that for mandated by LTFRB for safetyness of the passengers and para mapalitan yung mga luma ng public utilities like jeepney. And the Pantawid Pasada program is a cash card from the DOTR and LTFRB contract with the bank, with the Philippine Bank, so that they can give money to the public drivers so that the operators for the public operators or drivers, so that they can offer free rides to the frontliners worker or health center workers, and also for the affected quarantine people. Also, the LTFRB involved in clearing operation of highways and sa mga eskalita. As we can see in the screen that there are this article was from July 2019 in Metro Manila. The LTFRB cleared the highways and eskalita by the help of our IACT or the Interagency Council for Traffic, LTO, and the MMDA or Metropolitan Manila Development Authority. Also, they in that article they pull out the vehicle that tumadlang sa mga highway at mga skinita. They also cut trees and rigid or pinalis sa mga street vendors na umahadlang sa mga daanan ng mga tao at mga vehicle na nanguhadlang din sa highways. This clearing operation of the LTFRB is for the improvement of the highways or the transportation for vehicles, so that the vehicle or the people are malayang makakadaan dito na walang humahadlang. And also is for the maiwasan ang mga aksidenteng dulot ng masikip na daanan. Thank you.
Good day again. I will be reporting about the recruitment. So, itong recruitment, dito yung kung paano mag-hire ng applicants yung mga taga-LTFRB. So, kung ano yung mga requirements and kailangan para makapagtrabaho sa LTFRB. So, una dito yung documentary requirements. Ito yung mga requirements na kailangan nilang isubmit sa LTFRB. So, ito yung mga kailangan na requirements na isasubmit ng mga applicants. First is the fully accomplished personal data sheet or PDS with recent passport size picture and which can be downloaded at www.csc.gov.ph. So, itong personal data sheet, pwede nilang i-download sa website ng LTFRB. Second, performance rating in the present position for 1 year if applicable. So, and third, photocopy of certificate of eligibility or rating or license. And photocopy of transcript of records. So, itong transcript of records, or when we say transcript of records, or TOR, it consists basically of a list of the course units taken, the exams you have passed, and the credits gained. So, these are the documentary requirements. So, in here, interested applicants must indicate the position applied for, item numbers, and name of the department or office where the vacancy is. So, yung mga applicants, kailangan nilang indicate yung position na vacant na maaari nilang applyan. So, sa position na ito, maraming iba't ibang position, pero kung ano yung vacant lang, yun lang yung pwedeng applyan. So, in here, I will be discussing some of the positions available or kung ano yung mga available position sa LTFRB. Sa position, maraming pwedeng applyan sa LTFRB, pero linagay ko lang dito yung iba. Pero hindi na-include lahat yung position. So, example is Computer Programmer 2, Nurse 2, Gender and Development Specialist 2, Computer Specialist 1, Public Service Assistant Information Technology Officer 1, Media Production Specialist 1, Executive Assistant 1, Transportation Inspector, Project Evaluation Officer 2, Legal Assistant 2, and Accountant 2. So, ito yung maaring applyan ng applicants kung available sa department na or sa office na a-applyan nila. Usually, pinopost nila yung mga available na position sa Facebook page nila. Example, yung trabaho sa LTFRB. And doon naka-indicate lahat ng mga pwedeng yung requirements, yung position, yung salary, job description, or yung qualification standards. Yung job qualification naman, iba-iba yung qualification ng kailangan nila. Depende kung ano yung gusto mong position na applyan. So, dito, ito yung example ng qualifications. Pero ito ay sa computer programmer 2. Yun na lang yung i-example ko kasi marami, hindi lang iisa yung hindi general yung job qualification. So, dito sa computer programmer 2, kailangan nila 2+ years of experience in a computer programming role. Since computer programming yung applyan, kailangan din nila ng experience. So, second, strong attention to detail and ability to spot tiny errors or inconsistencies in the code. So, kailangan sila magaling din sila sa pag-determine ng mga error sa code. And must have excellent creative problem-solving skills. So, kinakailangan din nila na maging creative sa pagre-resolve ng problem sa computer. And knowledge of programming languages such as Python, Java, JavaScript, C, Ruby on Rails, and more. And next, up to date on the latest software innovations and committed to continually building on existing knowledge and skills. So, kailangan din nila na dapat updated sila sa kahit anong software. Exemplify superior time management. Exemplify superior time management skills and capable of working productively with minimal supervision. So, kailangan din na maging productive sila kahit na walang nakatingin sa kanila. And ability to follow directions closely and accurately. So, kailangan na may kakayan silang sumunod sa mga directions and dapat tama. And next, a desire to innovate and create cutting-edge programs and ready to hire a computer programmer. Oh, sorry. Wala pala to. For job description, iba-iba din. Job description or yung responsibilities. So, katulad din ng job qualifications, iba-iba din yung description ng a-applyan nilang position. So, ito ba din yung example ko kanina, yung computer programming 2. So, ito yung job description or yung responsibilities ng computer programmer 2. So, develop and write computer programs to perform specific tasks related to organizational goals. And create workflow diagrams and charts to demonstrate the functionality of program before coding them. Run software tests to spot and resolve bugs and inconsistencies. Write code for software patches and big fixes. Work with team members to find creative, innovative solutions to problems. So, kailangan nilang makipagtrabaho sa ibang members ng a-applyan nilang trabaho for the solutions of the problems, and collaborate with other departments to understand their needs and devise ways to accommodate them with software. Kailangan nilang makipag-ugnayan sa ibang departamento para papag-usapan or titingnan kung ano yung kakailanganin nila. And perform regular audits to identify software inefficiencies and mastermind ways to improve workflow. And lastly, write and continually update documentation for all programs for internal and external reference. So, kailangan din nilang magsulat and i-update yung documentations para sa lahat ng program. So, ito yung example ng job description or responsibilities. So, kapag na-accomplish na lahat ng requirements ng mga applicants, qualified applicants are advised to hand in or send their applications through courier or email to the Chief Administrative Officer. So, with incomplete documents, they will not be entertained. So, para sa ating kaalaman, may ibang position din na pwedeng mag-apply yung mga persons with disabilities or yung PWD, members of indigenous communities, and those from any sexual orientation and gender identities. So, sila may position din na para sa kanila. So, hindi sila namimili ng applicants. So, sabi ko nga kanina, kapag qualified applicants, they are going to hand in or send through their application to the courier or dun sa email address ng Chief Administrative Office. Ito lamang po yung nakalap kong information sa recruitment. Siguro kapag isasubmit nila yung application nila sa Chief Administrative Officer, sila na yung mag-e-evaluate. So, ito lamang po. And thank you.
Hello ma'am, hello classmates. I have here other informations about LTFRB to share. As LTFRB Chairman Martin Delgra reminders na kapag hawak nyo ang manibela, tandaan nyo na hindi lang manibela ang hawak nyo. Hawak nyo rin ang buhay ng mga sakay nyo. Kaya pag ibayuhin nyo pa ang ingat sa pagmamaneho. So, dito sa reminders ni Chairman Martin Delgra is, sinasabi niya dito na dapat is, ang mga driver ng mga pampublikong sasakyan is responsibilidad nila ang kanilang mga pasahero. Dapat lang daw na kapag babiyahe is dapat is maging maingat at checking kondisyon ang mga minamanehong sasakyan upang iwas disgrasya sa daan. Next is, saan ba dapat magparehistro? So, sa LTFRB dapat magparehistro. Tanging ang accreditation lamang ang pwedeng ibigay ng Grab at Uber. Kung sinabihan kayo ng Grab at Uber na sila ang bahala sa papeles nyo, is mali yun. Mali talaga yun. Na sinasabi nila na sila yung bahala sa papeles nyo. Dapat na diretso na magparehistro agad sa LTFRB. And dito naman, makikita natin sa mga bus, sa mga pampasaherong sasakyan, sa mga jeepney, ganun, makikita natin ang gantong karato-rato na nakapaskil sa likod ng papasahero sa sasakyan na nakalagay is kung may reklamo itawag sa LTFRB, at nakalagay diyan yung mga hotlines nila, yung mga number na pwede mong kontakin para doon ka magreklamo kung may pwede kang ireklamo doon sa driver na yun dahil may nagawa na hindi tama. And last is dito sa joke of the day, pero seryosong joke. Kailangang higpitan ang Uber at Grab upang maging kasing safe nila ang ibang sasakyan may prangkisa tulad ng mga taxi, bus at jeepney. So, kailangan talaga na higpitan nila ang mga Uber at mga Grab kasi minsan kasi sila yung mga sila minsan yung mga nakakaperwisyo sa daan. Kasi kung sino pa yung walang prangkisa sa ginagamit na sasakyan, sila pa yung maangas sa daan. At dito is connected dito yung sinasabi nila na insurance. Kagaya na lang ng mga taxi, bus at jeepney na kailangan may insurance sila sa company nila. Kasi kagaya dito sa mga taxi at bus, kailangan talaga may insurance sa company nila kasi kung sa daan man is naka-aksidente sila, may nabangga sila or sila yung nabangga, mayroon silang company insurance na pwedeng meron silang company insurance na tutulong sa kanila. Yung company insurance nila yung gagastos dun sa damage man ng dun sa aksidente na yon. And unang-una na pinakamalaking dahilan kung bakit importante ang car insurance ay hindi simple ang pagmamay-ari ng sasakyan, lalo na sa Pilipinas. Kasi laging nandyan ang panganib, hindi lamang sa kalsada, kundi baging sa mga lugar na iniisip nating ligtas. At ang pangalawa is ang pangalawang dahilan kung bakit importante ang insurance sa mga sasakyan ay ito ay hindi lahat ng nagmamaneho talaga sa Pilipinas ay may sapat na kasanayan. Naririnig din natin yung marahil na katwiran na bakit po magpapa-insure maingat naman ako sa pagdadrive. Yung word na yan, bakit pa ako magpapa-insure maingat naman ako sa pagdadrive. So masasabi ko dyan is oo, maingat nga tayo sa pagdadrive. Pero yung ibang tao hindi naman natin masabi na nag-iingat din sila, 'di ba? Kasi kahit na gaano ka kaingat magmaneho sa daan is kung ang trahedya naman is siya yung tawag doon, siya yung paparating sa iyo, 'di ba? Ganun. So kagaya lang ng example is may sasakyan ako, meron akong kompleto, meron akong prangkisa, meron akong insurance. Tapos kapag sakaling kung may bumangga sa akin man or ako yung nakabangga, is magagastosan ko siya sa insurance ko. Pwede kong igagastos doon yung insurance. Kaya malaki talaga na itutulong ng insurance kung may drive na sasakyan. Lalong-lalo na talaga sa mga taxi, bus at jeepney. Kailangan talaga nila ng company insurance para kung sakaling mayroong nangyari na disgrasya sa daan is merong company insurance na pwedeng tutulong sa kanila.
And that's all for our reporting about the LTFRB, and I hope that we all gained knowledge from our report. And I just want to say thank you, and thank you for watching and listening. God bless.